Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We're just going to wait for about a minute or so to start, making sure that everybody who's trying to join is able to join. So we'll just give about another minute. Alaikum, everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, based on whichever time zone you're joining from. So welcome to the Association of Pakistan Physician in North America, or APNA, MERIT, which is the Medical Education Research, International Training and Transfer of Technology webinar. And as some of you who are back to this session already know, that we have been doing these sessions on the Pakistan clinical research landscape, where we are looking for what is going on with the clinical research in Pakistan and trying to understand it at various institutes. So this is yet another in the series of those webinars that we've been conducting over the last few months. By way of the introduction, my name is Dr. Sarfraz Hasni, and I'm the Director of Lupus Clinical Research at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. And you can see the institute that I belong to in my background there. And my area of research is autoimmune diseases, and I've been involved in clinical research quite extensively here. Today, we are glad to welcome or re-welcome Dr. Ammad Fahim. And Dr. Ammad Fahim is a clinical research with the primary degree in medicine, and after that he had a postgraduate degree in biology and immunology, and he had a doctorate in applied sciences, looking at the computational biology and integrative medicine. He has over 15 years of professional experience in area of molecular epidemiology, public health, infectious disease genomics, and so forth, and he's been involved in multiple institutes, both public, private, as well as industry. He was previously at Khan University, at Feroz Sons, NUST, Shifa International, National University of Medicine and Science. And currently he is the Director of Office of Research, Innovation, and Commercialization at Indus Hospital and Health Network. And I think audience in this webinar are very well aware of the contributions Indus has done, and have become a huge organization with multiple components around the country. So just for some housekeeping rules are that we'll have the presentation by Dr. Ammad Fahim for about 45 minutes or so. And in between, we will have our panelists, Dr. Saeed Uzair and Dr. Umar Hayat, who will be saying a few words after the presentation by Dr. Ammad Fahim. And then if you have any questions, please put it in the chat window, and we will try to get to them as much as possible and try to wrap this up in about an hour. So with that, again, thank you, Dr. Ammad Fahim, for taking time. And I would like to welcome you officially from the APNA Merit Subcommittee, and please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shiraz. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First, I should share the screen. Sure. Okay, so are you seeing the slides? Are my slides visible?
Yes, they are. Yes.
Okay. Let's start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Ammad. I'm really thankful, Dr. Shiraz, for introducing me. I'm going to present Indus Hospital research endeavors, what we are doing. I've recently joined Indus this month, and actually I've been really honored to present the work Indus has done before in the field of clinical research after its inception. So, the Indus Hospital Health Network, some of you might be familiar. It's a very unique hospital with a very different kind of health service model. It's a total free hospital, although and it's totally private, and it's free for all its services which it delivers to all the patients. There are no cash counters in the hospital. They have the Indus hospital have the health network has a very big presence across the country. There are 13 to date now. This number has actually updated, and now they have 15 hospitals. The last one, which has recently been inducted into the network, is a hospital in Gwadar. It's a 250-bedded hospital. So now we have at Indus we have 15 hospitals across the country. Most of them are actually being run in a public-private partnership model, but all of them are free for its services, the Indus model. And they're all tertiary care centers, plus there are 4 rehabilitation centers. Then there are regional blood centers. Then we have lots of public health initiatives, public health clinics and projects running across the country, particularly in interior Sindh, interior Punjab, Balochistan and KPK. And we have also primary care clinics, particularly in Sindh and Punjab. And we have also a primary care clinic in Azad Kashmir. So all this this endeavor is this network provides free medical service to whether it's primary or secondary or tertiary. So it's unique in its service model, the Indus network. Okay, so while imparting all those services, we have to look into the evidence it's generating while delivering service. Indus have a very broad faculty of US trained and British trained and Pakistani trained physicians. And most of those physicians I've encountered, some of them are my mentors, previous mentors as well. They have a broad clinical expertise. And since my joining this month, I haven't encountered a single physician actually who's not engaged in research. And all of them are really excited in doing some quality research and all of them have a motto of generating good evidence for improving medicine. On the other hand, we have really good patient values. I'll talk through about how strictly Indus mandates for all its services in valuing patient values. Okay. So the Indus Hospital starts its functioning in 2007, and soon after it, the Indus Hospital Research Center was established. And initially, it started its research activities through public health community-based initiatives. They started some TB projects working with mapping TB indexing cases by collaborating with Nokia, and they were doing a geographical information system mapping. In those days, I have started my clinical research career, and I had a chance of visiting Indus in those days as well. And I was really surprised that soon after its inception, its target was to cover research from a very, very innovative point of view. Then, as the research center grew, it inducted more resource and clinical faculty. It broadened their scope for mentoring faculty and residents, and they established a very ethical research training platform, mandating it and not just taking it as an option. In 2000, then slowly they also started taking some big projects with Global Health Directorate, Global Fund, and a very, very functional epidemiological and statistical unit. Then the program further evolved with funding programs of hepatitis C, rabies, cutlet implants. In 2017, RedCap, which is a very famous data entry software, and it includes lots of it's a good software in terms of collating data and analyzing evidence. And since then, since there were lots of public health and clinical research activities going on, RedCap has been one of the main softwares which has been used. It's not the only software, but it is one of the primary software that has been used since then. Then clinical research unit was established in 2020 with the DAP approval, and soon after its clinical trial inception, COVID vaccine trial started. In 2021, the Indus IRB was registered in Office of Human Research Protection, the USA. And with the very, very expanding aspirations, the IHRC has now transformed into an Office of Research, Innovation, and Commercialization. Since there has also been a university named as Indus University of Health Sciences. And our agenda is to expand our research base in terms of empowering all our departments for doing quality research while complying all the national and international requirements. Okay, so what the Indus Auric do, we have epidemiology and biostatistical consultation. The research projects which are running in Indus, particularly from residents and PGs, we routinely provide them those epidemiology and biostatistical consult. Plus, we also provide consultation to for our private partners. Then we have program incubation. Indus has been into program information for quite some time. Then we also provide clinical research and trial support. And there is operational data analysis, then research basics, questionnaire design. Lots of survey projects are going on, and for those particular surveys, particularly broad surveys, very in-depth surveys related to infectious diseases and maternal and child health projects. We have some really good cross-section studies at the moment going on, and our team at Indus is actually working on those projects, right from designing the questionnaire, translating it in various local languages, and then taking approvals from all the relevant partners and delivering it. Then we have a very strong data collection and management support team, and then we have a grants and budget agreement team as well. So, okay, so we have a reasonable team of 19 people with 2 junior epidemiologists. Then we have 4 clinical CRAs, 7 junior research officers. Then we have program and grant managers. Finance is also involved in it, and then we have a very functional IRB coordinator. Plus, for individual projects as well, we hire people on project-to-project basis. So this is just a layout of the organogram on which the current Auric is functioning. It's a bit modern. It's for our current mandate, we have modified a bit, but now we have assistant director research. Plus, now Indus is envisioning to also expand itself on the innovation and commercialization side. From the commercialization side, there might be a question that since Indus is already operating on a model of providing free services to patients, the commercial model is anticipatably actually attributed to implying good patient care and improving the donation bank, which we are already having around the globe, so that whatever innovations we make, we can be supported for our patients in terms of commercializing it. And that commercialization will ultimately can help our patients in treating and delivering all the services we need. Okay, so we have internal clients, as I said. We have doctors, residents, managers, and anyone interested in electronic solutions for data capturing. By that, I mean, we have a very functional electronic medical health record system, and it's already dealing with multiple registries. Then we have external clients and like clinical research organizations. Lots of pharma companies are actually contacting us on a daily basis for various research. And then we're also collaborating with most of the universities in the city and around the country. And also we are working with various NGOs and governmental institutions. The Indus network is already directly working with Government of Sindh, Government of Punjab, and Government of Balochistan in many projects. Okay, so we have a very functional epidemiology unit with lots of staff, and they are involved in developing the research question, cleaning the data, analyzing that, and drafting it and readying it for publication. And we have some decent number of studies rolling out during the past few years. During the past few years, we have gone through 470 studies with 21 clinical trials, and then 217 expedited clinical research studies. Some of them were also got exemption. On subject-wise, 156 researchers projects were on the purely research, then 53 were related to operational support, 45 were related to quality improvement, and 12 were other public health research projects. This is a graph. It's just a snapshot of what the Indus has been doing and how we are disseminating our research work. You can see that we are gradually increasing our publication numbers, but we also focus on that, not just strictly focus on publication numbers, but on the impact we can create on the community which we are serving. Okay, so administratively, in 2020, the research center moved from the medical directorate to the academic directorate, and that was actually curtailing to the vision that ultimately all the research will be under the university timeline. And the scope of research has broadened. Now we are dealing with Office of Research, Innovation, and Commercialization. Plus, during our whatever possible services we are dealing with, we try to deliver through all the possible measures we have. Like in most of these instances, we try to deal with all our physicians and consultants on face-to-face basis. But we also develop online modules for capacity building of research, and then there are journal club support activities going on around the year. The program and grants unit is quite functional because we have a very, very large portfolio of delivering various community health and public health research projects. And while delivering those projects, we have a very active team of dealing with all the legal documentation. Then we are managing a sponsored research portfolio as well. Management and around the clock, around the year, we are dealing with writing grants, applying for them. And then there are pre and post grant award management team as well. Then there is a proposal writing team. We have lots of very, very functional committees in the hospital who are actually looking towards proposal vetting. And then we have a very good finance team as well who actually is very, very research friendly in helping us in preparing good budgets. And they also help us in financial management of our projects. And we have a very efficient human resource management and research environment team as well. By showing this slide, I just want to give an impression that the physicians and the team here at Indus is strikingly very, very not just oriented to their own work, but they also have a diverse way of thinking, dealing with patients. They do take care of how they can make a difference for patient care. And I invite whoever participants are actually listening to my talk. I invite them that they should visit at least once, and they'll feel the difference of how we are dealing with. During the times of COVID, a functional clinical research unit was established, particularly for dealing with vaccine trials. And these and they have all the components of taking like the informed consent room and the data storage room and the patient waiting room, the IP storage room. So most of we have a very functional clinical research unit since then. And from its inception in October 2020, we have a very good exponential growth of clinical trial enrollment. Till now, we have enrolled more than 5,000 subjects in different clinical trials. Okay, so our scope of work is with different partners in pipeline. With reference to infectious diseases, I think Indus is one of the key players of doing clinical research and public health research in rabies. And Dr. Naseem Salahuddin from Indus Hospital is actually a very distinguished professor of infectious disease, and she's working with various governments and on various international projects as well on rabies and TB. Then we have a very, very efficient pediatric oncology system. That pediatric oncology, we're dealing clinical trials on pediatric oncology. Plus, we are also developing a very good registry on pediatric oncology. Then we have various projects working on running on the internal medicine portfolio, the gastroenterology people and the cardiology fellows. Some I have actually witnessed some really good research, and then particularly the emergency medicine people. I've actually been very happy to see that most of our departments are actually now not just collecting data and just making research questions. They're actually looking forward that how we can use the data in a different way. Like, say, for example, we have now multiple projects on which Indus is now dealing with machine learning projects and AI projects, because Indus has a very, very big pool of more than 8 million patient files. And probably, I don't know, I have to verify this number, but this number will probably be more, if not less. But we have so many data, and we are actually looking towards new ideas and new projects where we can innovate ourselves and coming out with more useful research questions on artificial intelligence algorithms. Then we are dealing with some surgery research projects. We have research projects on hematological disorders and its complication. Keep in mind that when I'm stating the specialty name, it means that some of our project, not internally, we have a research project from some external source as well running on these specialties. Then we have critical care and maternal child and child health is our priority since its inception from this. Then we have a gynecology and obstetrical unit as well, very functional. And we have some really good patient primary care clinics where some research projects are going on in Karachi. As I said, drugs and vaccine trials are going on, and we have a very, very big public health network across the country dealing with various research projects. And we are working with disease registries, particularly in critical care, pediatric oncology, and radiology registries. We are working on these things. Okay. And there's a research integrity unit. We have two IRBs. One is the biomedical and clinical IRB. And since we are working on lots of public health and behavioral research projects as well, so Indus required another IRB as well. So that particular IRB deals with the social and behavioral research projects as well. Then Indus is probably, to my knowledge, is the only hospital network in Pakistan who mandates city certification, and we have a whole city module which the Indus hospital management has actually made available to all our faculty who's working under Indus umbrella, free for all of them to go through that module. So it's mandatory for our consultants or PGs or residents or all the clinical researchers to be certified from the city certification. And if you're aware of the city certification, it has a very good credibility and acceptability around the globe. We routinely went through authorship guideline seminars and grant writing seminars, and that is to encourage our faculty and residents and all the consultants to work more and more on generating good evidence. Okay, so during that whole research endeavor, Indus has actually worked with lots and lots of good centers. We are particularly working with now these days. We have now a very, very good collaborative portfolio with all these institutes. We are currently actively working with WHO and NIH, and we are also working with lots of international partners. Some of the projects have ended, and we are at least half of them. We are currently working with them. these days as well. But we are also connecting with them, even though we have completed their projects, but still we are now engaged and in negotiations with new projects as well. Okay, this was a brief intro of what we are doing at Indus Org. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ammad, for a very good overview of the research activities being done at Indus. Seems like a lot is being going on, and obviously you recently joined, so you are still kind of trying to learn the system and also the in-depth knowledge of what all the different research activities. But very impressive. Thank you so much for doing this. And I see that the chat is lighting up with a lot of questions, and but I'm just gonna hand it over to Dr. Uzair and Dr. Umar Hayat for their panelists, their comments on your presentation, and then taking some of the questions from the chat. So take it away, please, Dr. Uzair and Dr. Umar Hayat. And again, thank you, Ammad.
Thank you, Dr. Sarfraz Hasni, and thank you, Ammad. What a great, crisp presentation.
Dr. Uzair, just speak up a little bit. You're far from the mic.
Oh, sorry. Is it okay?
Yeah, just speak up a little bit. A little bit better.
Okay. So I try to get close. So what a wonderful presentation. And I know you are quite a catalyst back in Shifa International, Maroof International, and now in Indus Hospital. So you will learn more, and we know a lot of activities are going, particularly in public health with Global Fund and tuberculosis, diagnostic and research. So these are phenomenal thing, and you are in an ideal position to develop a local chapter of research in Karachi by integrating like with the Aga Khan, like the Sindh Institute of Urology and Transplant, Dow University of Health Sciences. So the objective of this platform is really to bring the people who for reason so busy and engaged that they do not find the time to openly communicate. And under this Apna Merit platform, we encourage that there should be regional network like the South Network. And I know your leadership skills, I know your dedication, your commitment, and I'm sure you can do it. You see, there are a lot of interest. Like in the chat box, we have received a request from CMH Lahore. They are very much interested to have a partnership with you and get some help, get some support and some leadership role. In that way, you know, when we started these webinar and the research, we never knew that how deeply are we going to penetrate. But now, day by day, we are seeing the groups, they are moving very fast. So there should be a North group, there should be a South group, there should be a Central group. In that way, you will have access to more of the resources and sharing across the board. It means energizing the strength and the capabilities. So, you know, we will send you this link. I mean, so I have responded to her for that request. And again, we had another webinar in the past when Dr. Sarfraz was traveling in Pakistan about the artificial limb and stuff that, and there is a question on that. So, but now the next phase is going to be, apart from the public institution, we need to bring the industry for partnership and for commercial trials. So we have Dr. Umar Hayat, and he is really instrumental, my friend, colleague, and a restless soul, you know, traveling around the globe most of the time. So with this, I will request Dr. Hayat, you know, his sharing about how to bring the commercial work from around the globe to Pakistan. So over to Dr. Umar Hayat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Uzair. This is very true, and I will have to say we have been very vocal at different platforms. I was at Chem Outsourcing. Recently, I was at CPHI Frankfurt. And I have been preaching and been very vocal within my internal network, but also on the major platforms such as those I mentioned. I strongly believe that Pakistan is a destination for clinical trials with 220 million populations and high prevalence of the disease. And I think even the word which is really catching the attention is the treatment naive patient population. And I can tell you there has been a lot of interest. People really want to go to Pakistan to conduct the trial. When they hear the numbers in terms of the prevalence of disease or the population and qualified doctors, I mean, everybody knows where the Pakistan is because we have been, our doctors and students have been in different parts of the world. But the one concern they raise, and that's what we need to focus on, is the unpredictable, and I'm using exactly the word I'm hearing from those industry veterans, unpredictable approval timelines. Because I know, because I do day in, day out, or we conduct the clinical trials, we can't work if we can't plan. And we can't plan if we don't have the predictability of the approval of the application. That's number one. Number two is really the integrity of data. So what I will suggest or I will preach to our community, where we are doing the clinical research to understand the disease, but I think as Dr. Zaid said, we need to move to the next level where we should do the clinical research, which is a part of the approval of the drugs. And I will say, it's not all about like winning the trial or bringing the trial to the Pakistan, which I used to use this word that we need to bring the trials to the Pakistan. It's really to win the trust. And I will say we need to do each and everything to win the trust. I have been working also with GMRI. It's a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Medical Research Institute. And I mean, my area of focus is the CMC. Of course, I'm a vice president of CMC and supply chain with Union Therapeutics, but I'm also a CEO of Trial 360 Degree, and I'm also managing partner for Revive Pharma. Revive Pharma has launched collaborations with CCL, and believe me, we came up with the idea, which is worth probably millions, if not the billion, and we're gonna conduct that trial. So there would be, when we talk about the commercial trials, so there would be the trials which would be coming from the local industry, but more important is really to win the trust of the international organizations like Sanofi or the Boehringer Ingelheim. I saw this, or even for the sake GMRI, the Gates Medical Research Institute, because their focus is the TB. It's highly prevalent in Pakistan. Their focus is the HIV, that's prevalent in Pakistan, the infectious diseases, and even the one trial, which I know is coming to Pakistan, and we will play our role actually to facilitate the approval process as well as to conduct that trial. So I think I will stop here. There is a huge potential, and I will say, Dr. Zaid, you have really provided a leadership necessary to start all these activities. And I totally agree, we need to open these North, South, Midwest, East, West groups. And we need to also build the capacity, because conducting those trials the way we conduct is not enough to gain the trust which we need desperately, actually. So I will stop here, and I think, Dr. Zaid, we can address the questions in the chat box. But thank you very much, and back to you.
Waleed, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you,
So,
Dr. Zaid.
yeah, because I was requesting Waleed if he can bring Fazli to the stage, Fazli Wahid, so that he can share her experience at CMH Lahore and what is she looking forward. But it appears that maybe Waleed is little busy, but anyway, I have written message to him. So Ammad, my question to you is, do you have like the proper, because you're a very professional person, the strategic plan in the Indus hospital about rejuvenate the research and segment it into the different activities with the quantitative and qualitative objective for 3 to 5 years time, or it's going like as you mentioned that you are facing the issues of institutional memory and the coordination because you have the professional skills and the leadership. In most of the research or the technical organization, the missing link is the management link, which is going to energize the whole activity, speed up the activity. So do you have some thought on this thing? How are you going to organize this and how to structure a strategic plan for 3 to 5 years? It means where do you want to see the Indus, and the board would like to see the Indus research wing in 3 to 5 years time, and coordinating as mentioned by Umar, like the Gates Foundation, he participated in that meeting. We are already working on tuberculosis. So how to bridge all these activities? So it's over to you, Ammad.
So during my previous experience of doing clinical trials at various places, I found that as you people have mentioned rightly, that there is a short of capacity building in our country. During my work at Shifa and during my work at Maruf, particularly, I found that people were not much well versed with doing clinical trials. Even I myself found looking into books and papers when I'm dealing with or reading a clinical device trial. So that's something where I feel that training people for actually doing clinical research, particularly clinical trial, is something very critical across the country. We've tried to do so, but that's something I also realized that it should be an ongoing activity. It should be an ongoing activity. There is a forum, there is a course called Introduction to Principles and Practice of Clinical Research, which is offered by National Institute of Health, USA. That's a very, very useful course. That's free of cost. The certificate is exam driven. You give the exam, final exam, and then you get a certificate. But that particular course has lots of ingredients of doing some basic clinical research. And we have been promoting that particular course for quite some time. In fact, we derived our own clinical research course. Dr. Mustafa Qadri, my mentor, he actually derived and added lots of value to that particular course with his own mentoring skills. And I must say that there are other courses as well around the globe. WHO, by their TDR website, is also delivering some of the good clinical research courses for actually doing clinical research. Now, that's the theory part. I really want to encourage people, and that's something which I feel I encourage people, particularly our residents and our fellows, to be involved in those particular clinical research activities, or even if they just be an observer of doing any clinical trial running at the institute, that can be something very handy for them. At least they'll understand what's happening and how to conduct and what level of transparency and quality of data is required to do a clinical research. And by even observing those clinical research activities, probably we ourselves can learn to do our own research work as well. Most of our residents are doing their clinical research as CPSP has mandated them to do. And I personally feel that our seniors and our teachers should look into that doing quality clinical research is something now we cannot just run away from it, because the world is moving so fast and everything is coming from the research activities going somewhere else. So why not we do it here in our country? Then, regarding the strategic roadmap, I want that first the capacity building thing, then ongoing thing is something like we should capture more and more projects dealing with clinical research, not only just commercial research projects, but particularly investigator initiated projects. Because in many investigator-initiated projects, I've found that they are having some really good research questions. We learned the culture of how the higher income countries work on those trials, how they prepare those trials. I've hardly seen a commercial research project actually designed in Pakistan. I haven't seen a project. There might be people have designed, Han University have designed some really good research projects, particularly clinical trials, and those have been delivered, but I wasn't being part of it. Now, I personally feel that designing clinical trials, although it's in the books and we do it, but in terms of actually doing clinical research projects, what we do is the protocol is with us, we understand the protocols and we comply with it. That's just one part of it. It's part of it. Yes, we are part of it and we learn from that. But I feel that that should also be part of what we are trying to do. Because if you're on the side of actually designing clinical trials, probably you might attract lots of companies for actually designing good research projects. And also, as you mentioned, that might be a way of engaging our local pharmaceutical companies as well for doing at least phase 4 and phase 3 clinical trials for their own products. Then there's an area where I feel that our basic science researchers, particularly who are doing research in molecular biology and all those things, I was part of that strict academic environment where I wasn't dealing with patients for some time. And I realized that they should also learn what's happening on the practical side. And the practical side is clinical side. So while working at Shifa, while working at Maruf, and now at Indus, I have seen that few people, some people are on this particular side where actually they're doing the basic science research as well, and they're also now part of clinical research. But actually, I am on the side where I want to really promote them to really be also merged with some clinical research projects, because that is the user end. So I've encountered that during those molecular research projects which we're doing, we need lots of focus. But we also have to diversify ourselves, that what should be the user end? What's the requirement of the user end? What's the requirement of the pharmaceutical companies? What's the requirement of CROs for actually making those products and dealing with the industry side? So even with some interaction with the clinical research fraternity, probably we can have some really good people coming up with, you can say, diverse backgrounds and coming up with good research acumen.
So I think I will have to say I absolutely agree with you, Dr. Ammad, what you are laying out. But a couple of things, Dr. Azhar, I think we need to focus on. I mean, I have seen the protocol now because I'm involved in this. I have seen the protocols coming out of the Pakistani institutions, and I have seen the protocols like internationally when we're doing this trade. There is a huge gap. So my theory is and I have seen the China, how they win the business, and I've seen how the Indian have win the business over the time. They all started where we are starting, but we need to do more than people expect. I think we need to write the protocol which is more comprehensive, capture each and everything in terms of the details. I don't mind even to writing the sub protocol and having more forms to fill to capture the data to make sure that the integrity is not compromised. So I think that's the way. And Ammad, surely, inshallah, we will have the chance to work together. And
yes.
Make sure, I will certainly make sure when we do a trial, when we write the protocol, when we capture the data, when we presented the reports or even the monitoring reports or site monitoring, it should make a difference, it should look a different what we have been doing so far. The one way I suggest to all community, we really need the international. So we have a one trial bit, hopefully that will go through. And I know my team is working with you as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So the way I'm thinking is for the monitoring, I'm not looking for the local monitors. I will bring the monitor who has the experience of monitoring the international trial and is from US, Canada, or anywhere else. And then we can shadow our local monitors. So that way to transfer what the people are doing abroad, and then and then we need to hire the people who are really passionate about this. So I think that will make certainly a difference. You really pinpoint the deficiencies, because this is we need to know our weaknesses more than we need to know ours. I mean, when people talk about the COVID trials and we feel that that was our flagship trial, guys, we didn't win it. It was given to us.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So COVID trial, we didn't win it. It was given to us because of the situation.
Yes.
Now it's a time to win the trials and trust. So I think there would be the opportunities. We are talking, Dr. Zair is like preaching and connecting the dots, and these seminars are making a big difference. And I think the landscape is getting ready. It's a really, I mean, it's amazing. Now, of course, I am now in the clinical trials, which I was not before. I was always calling myself the CMC guy. And now I'm interacting with the local people. There is a big difference in the talking and on the ground. So some big names are very disappointing to me. And I would be very honest, and I will share even with them, like, because this word is quite competitive. Okay, and we need to not just with our titles and stuff, with our work. Okay, so I hope we will have a chance, and I really appreciate the presentation, and inshallah, we will work, inshallah. Yes,
if I can add something, I see in the chat Dr. Sanallah Sajid put a comment, and I think I agree that there is a huge potential. And I've been going to Pakistan for the last few years and trying to look at the research landscape. I think two major obstacles that I've identified, and I think if we can work on those two obstacles through these webinars and trying to bring awareness, is one is that what you were saying initially is the integrity, because in clinical research, everything is based on integrity. I mean, the error, it has to be a 0% error, because once your integrity is in question, then everything else is in question.
Yes. Yes.
So to build that integrity, there are two things. So one is that you have to train people, and then you also have to inculcate the culture of clinical research, how to think like a clinical research, because we all are very good in terms of thinking like clinicians, how to treat patients, and we have good academic knowledge, and even with the limited resources, we take good care of patients as much as possible. But to think like a clinical research, it's a totally different ballgame. You have to actually put a different hat on. So that can be done through training, through these webinars, through bringing more awareness. And then number two thing is that in terms of providing some kind of breathing space for our clinicians, because the other thing I identified is that a lot of young or early junior faculty, they're interested in doing research, and HEC and all the organizations, and they all mandate that they do field research. But the problem is that if you don't give them a breathing room, if they're seeing 60 to 80 to 100 patients a day, they don't have the physical or the mental capacity to do any clinical research. So I guess in terms of the model that Indus has created, I think that is a wonderful model where they give some breathing space for people to do some clinical research. So maybe doing some kind of a sabbatical where you can spend 1 or 2 years of your life in dedicated clinical research, and then you can come back to clinical work if you like to, or come to a hybrid model. Because unless you get time, so again, just to summarize, one is to think like a clinical research, which is important for maintaining the integrity. And number two is to have the mental and physical and financial capacity to do that. So both of these things are needed if we want to establish anything. I mean, alhamdulillah, we were able to do something with Fatma Jana. We were able to establish this collaboration, but took like 4 or 5 years. And the willingness on both sides was there and was able to plow through. But we can do more, but these two things are needed. Again, and the last thing I would say, and then I'll stop, is that there is a lot of interest in about the principle and practice of clinical research course that Ammad has mentioned. So I put down the link again, just to reiterate what Ammad is saying. I have done that course myself, and it's an extremely well organized course. Actually, it's taught in more than 140 universities around the world.
Yes.
But the NIH has made it on demand, online, free access. So you can do it at your pace whenever you want. And at the end of the course, there is a test that you take. And if you score more than 80%, you get a certificate. And it's very valuable certificate. So again, just encouraging everyone what Ammad said to please do that course if you are interested in clinical research. Thank you.
Do we have a Wali now back? So if anybody has the question from the audience, we can open for them.
Yeah, Umar, we have just a question which is a little digression. So this is more towards Sarfraz Hasni. Someone asked that panelists and hosts, while publishing, how can we deal with the article publishing charges, which is a little different?
Yeah.
Most renowned journals have very high charges, which cannot be afforded by residents. So this is a tricky question, and maybe Sarfraz can, address this
So
question.
I can address that question because we get that question a lot. So there are two ways to handle this question, this problem. One way to address this problem is that almost all journals have now recognized this problem. And when you go through their description, they do have a description there that if you belong to a middle and low income country, then you can apply for a waiver for that fees. Almost all high quality journals have that. So you can try that route. The second way to do that is to find a collaborator or a partner who in one of the US or UK. And usually for them, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 is not that big of a deal. And if they are able to collaborate with you and they contribute and they are as a co-author, their institute sometimes are able to pick up the tab in terms of publishing. So these are the two things that you can try. But most of the journals now, they do offer a discount or even waiving the fee for low and middle income countries.
Okay, so I don't see a lot of questions, so we can take advantage of sparing some time. So if there is no question and we are almost done with today's activity, so may I request?
Can I make a last comment?
Sure, please.
Yeah, sure. So I think one thing we also need to be very conscious about, trials can come and will come. For me, the most important is the repeat trial, because I'm hearing from the industry, because I'm talking to them, and they can come one time, and if they don't have the good experience, they're not going to come back again. So I think whenever we have this opportunity or have a trial, we need to put our maximum effort in it. So this way we can have more. So that would be my last comment. Thank you.
So with this, I hand over to Dr. Sarfraz Hasni, please.
All right. So I just wanted to, I see something very interesting in the chat, and I because there's something which is sort of near and dear to my heart, I do want to respond to that. So I think Dr. Aisha Malik has mentioned something about the generics, and I think this is one area which we don't think about, but it's a heaven, Pakistan, for people whoever wants to do genetic study, and that's how NIH is got interested. NIH from US got interested in doing research in Pakistan, because I told them that there are families with multiple family members having the same disease, and because of the consanguinity, which is very common in Pakistan, we have even the rare diseases, they're conglomerating in families, and this is something that for people who are doing genetic research is like a gold mine. So I think that, Aisha, you've brought up a very good point, and I think this is what I've just done with Fatma Jinnah, that we identified multiple families with lupus, and we are trying to do the genetic whole genome sequencing on them. And this is something that, for academic institutes, and if you are interested, we can certainly connect you there. And then this is something that Pakistan can provide, in addition to what Dr. Umar Hayat and Uzair have said already. All right, so this, if there are no other comments, then I think Dr. Uzair, we can finish now, or? Okay.
Yes, please.
All right, so again, I would like to thank all the participants for their participation and joining in these Apna Merit seminar and then webinar, and then we will have the next session next week. And I also want to mention one thing that we always forget, is that I also want to acknowledge Waleed and the technical team behind these webinars, because it's a big undertaking and they do a very good job. So thank you so much for Waleed and on rest of the people who are providing technical support, and Dr. Uzair and Dr. Umar Hayat for always being there as a panelist, and Ammad again agreeing to come back again and sharing your expertise, and for all the participants for joining. With that, thank you everyone, and inshallah we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.